So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was a pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you just devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
Good evening and welcome to the Traffic Report. My name is Howard, as you all know. Unfortunately, John will not be with us tonight. He had something to do, and I am on my own. So, to be perfectly honest with you, a little bit nervous about this. It's always a lot easier when you have somebody to bounce conversation off. So I'm hoping that we'll get some comments. You can tweet them to Traffic Report 1 on Twitter. And we were supposed to do the second part of Scientology, and we're going to wait until John gets back for that. And also, we're supposed to have, I know somebody that she wasn't a Scientologist, but she had an interesting experience with a Scientologist. So I'm trying to get her on the show. And her story is pretty crazy. So hopefully that'll be coming up in the next few. But, I was thinking of like what I wanted to talk about, since I'm just going to be by myself and I really don't have this opportunity. I've done it on, I've had opportunities on Periscope at times, but I don't do that too often. But I got into a little bit of a conversation with someone I've known on Twitter for quite a while. And it sounded like he was, a little frustrated. It's like, I forget what the tweet had said, but it was basically like, when is something going to break? When is something, we've known about this. This is going on 10 months now. And, we see arrests, but, we have all this information and, but so my topic sort of is where are we with this? Where are we with Pizzagate? Where are we with Pedogate? Where are we with saving the children? Because, and I guess, as I stopped and I thought about it, I guess I kind of feel the same way. It's like how, some days it feels like we're winning the battle. And some days it feel, personally, I feel a little bit lost in all this. So, I guess that's pretty much a topic, like where are we and where are we going? I've never been, a researcher per se, and I admire the amount of research that has gone into Pizzagate and Pedogate, Vote, 4chan, Reddit, Steemit. People, they do amazing work. And that's, I can't say enough about it. I've always been obviously more of a just get out there and spread the message, because I've always felt that the only way we are going to really make a dent in this is to get, the people behind us to spread this awareness and get it out in the forefront where, it keeps almost like the pedos and the trafficking networks, on the run and make them nervous. But I don't know how good of a job we're doing with that. Overall, I mean, obviously, the information that we have, the FBI has it, NSA has it, all the agencies have it. The police know about this stuff, and nothing major is being done. So how are we going to get to the point that things are going to get done and we are going to really start to, see some results from all the time and effort that's been put into this? I was thinking about, obviously, with the hurricane in Houston, trafficking in Texas is, it's a big deal. It's a major hotspot. When I was down in DC for the Seth Rich Vigil, I was trying to meet up with one of my friends from Twitter, and she actually was having dinner with George Webb, and I was trying to go and meet her, and she got, finally, her dinner ended, and I don't know exactly what she was meeting with him about. So I met her at the restaurant, and George Webb was still there, and my friend and I, we sat at a different table, and George called us over, and he was sitting with this lobbyist from Texas, and he spoke typically like a typical DC lobbyist, and they were whatever they were talking about, and I was just basically just sitting there, and finally George was real nice, and he was like, "So Howie, what are you all about?" And I basically said, "I'm all about child sex abuse, child sex trafficking." And so the lobbyist started going off about, how Texas is such a big, it's huge down there, and he was involved in some type of like a shelter refuge place for girls that have been sexually abused, and he was basically going off about that. But with the hurricane, and thinking about how big it is, and there was I found I guess it's a paper done by the University of Texas, and their numbers, they estimated that there were 79,000 minors and youth victims of sex trafficking in Texas. I don't know if that's, at one time over a year, but 79,000 in the state of Texas. Now, this report was also about human trafficking. It included labor trafficking, and overall there were over 300,000 victims of human trafficking in Texas, but almost 80,000 children in sex trafficking in Texas. So, right there it says, right there, that should stop everybody in their tracks. At any given time, there are 80,000 children that are being sex trafficked. That's not abused. That's being trafficked. And how these numbers can be out there, and people just don't just stop in their tracks. It just goes to show you that, it shows me that people know, the powers that be, they know about this stuff. They know it exists, but they don't really seem to care all that much. And it's always been my contention that it's going to be up to the people to somehow make this happen. I don't know exactly how that's going to be. We can't walk around and start arresting people or, breaking up rings. So I have some ideas that I just, been tossing around and just, I'll throw them out there tonight. But if anybody else has any ideas, what we can do besides present information, because to me, like, we have the information, we have all the information, we have the history. And when when we look back on cases like the Finders, that, everything was right there, and it even made it, its way up to, law enforcement. And then obviously, the CIA puts the kibosh on it. When we look at situations in England, excuse me, oh, it's not going to sound good. Yeah, situations in England with, Jimmy Savile, the BBC, and everybody, people knew about it. The thing that comes to mind is Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols did an interview in 1977, basically calling them out. So, nothing was done about it. So, I think if we are really going to get serious about helping these children, we have to, do something different. Besides tweeting, and besides being on Facebook, and besides, posting and, vote and whatever, and sitting around and hoping that, the FBI does their job, law enforcement does their job. We found there was a story going around tonight that, James Comey was going to let Hillary Clinton off the hook 3 months before he actually did. 3 months before the investigation ended. If that turns out to be true, then we obviously know that the fix was in on that. But something, it just goes to show that we can't get justice. We can present all the information in the world, and if nobody's going to do anything with it, then there's not a lot that we can do. So, I've always thought that we're getting to the point where, we need to start, and I don't know who we is, but there needs to be a professional organization. If we took all the talent that was out there, all the talent, people making videos, people writing posts, people doing the research, and actually made our own nonprofit, our own 501c3, and got funding just like any other 501c3, I think that would be an excellent start, because then we would have an organization behind us, and we could present ourselves as an organization, because right now, we're just basically a group of individuals, which is great. But at some point, to take this to a different level, it's going to have to become an organization. One other thing tonight, when I was on Twitter, a hashtag came up. It was called, what was it? The March in Black, something March in Black. I was like, oh, another march or whatever. And it was, I don't know, today was like International Overdose Day. So in Philadelphia, they had a march for people that overdosed, and they called it. But they got a few hundred. Oh, March in Black it was called. So everybody wore black, and they got a few hundred people out there, and I'm thinking, like, how the hell do they constantly get hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people in the street? And I just, my dream would be to have, thousands of people, marching in the streets, for children, screaming that Pedogate is real and Pizzagate is real. And we haven't been able to do anything like that, in 10 months. March 25th, Neil from the Light Reports, he put together the, Our Children Matter rally in DC. And, I don't know how many people were there, 150, 200, which is nice. But, that thing was promoted, big time. I was hoping there was going to be, thousands of people down there. And, when I got to DC, I actually had to catch a really early bus. And, I got to the park, I think around let's say 9, 10 o'clock. And, I was the first one there. And when you're the first one there, it's never a good sign. And I just had a feeling that there weren't going to be that many people. So, from that respect and, being out in the streets, at some point, people are going to have to, take this to a different level and start, doing something. So, I don't know how, I know, Craig Sawyer has his vets for child. I forget what the name of it is, his organization, but that's more of a documentary type thing. But, anyway. So, all right, still no tweets coming in. So I'm just going to have to keep talking here. But, one other idea when my friend and I were talking about, where we are with all this, I felt as though, we're not doing so great all the time, like reaching out to adults, but, I think reaching out to teenagers might be an interesting way to go. They seem more, woke. They're probably aware of what's going on. I mean, if they had even if they weren't sexually abused, if they had, some type of, creepy experience, in their life. And, I'm not saying go out on the streets and start talking to kids, but, basically in social media, trying to, target them more. It was just something that popped into my head, and it's we haven't really tried it. It's different, talking to kids and presenting information to them, but at least to let them know that this is out there and that people are looking into this, and we might get some interesting feedback on that. So that was one idea I had, along with starting, a nonprofit. I'm not saying I'm going to be the person that starts a nonprofit, but I just feel as though in order for us to take this to the next level and to be able to make phone calls and say, I am from such and such organization, and this is what we're looking into, or reporting things to the police, because, right now, obviously the biggest organization is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And we know pretty much, that they don't do, well, at least in my estimation, they don't do everything that they could be doing, especially with their $40 million. So, all right. And that took an entire 18 minutes. Missing you, John, if you're listening, brother. So, but, I guess from my standpoint, I've, my sign holding that, I haven't done it since I was attacked. And, I think I'm ready to start doing it again. I wasn't necessarily apprehensive about going out to my intersection, but, I'm definitely apprehensive about going down and doing things downtown around other people. So, it's time to get out and trying to spread some more awareness. But some days it feels good, and some days it feels like you're just one guy with a sign. A few months ago, we put together brochures. I think they're pretty decent brochures. They probably could be a little bit better, but if people were handing these things out and letting people know whether they're going to a local shopping mall or just wherever, and if we have to tweak a brochure to to meet for somebody's for a target audience, that can be done too. Brochures and print them off, that can be done no time. But we have to be in the community, and right now with everything that's going on, especially with the anti-Trump movement, the resistance. Even if we feel as though they're a bunch of idiots, they're a bunch of lunatics, they're taking up the streets, and they're taking up the space, and they're getting their voices heard. Now everybody knows who Antifa is, even if they disagree with them, even if they think they're a bunch of maniacs and they should be considered terrorists. Doesn't matter. Their voice is out there. Their message is out there. Us, we have nothing. We want to save children. There are children out there tonight that are being trafficked, that are being abused, that are waiting for somebody to come help them. And we're not. I just don't feel as though we're doing everything that we can be doing to spread the awareness. If we need to uncover one more piece of information about one more person or connected person, we would have enough. We would have enough to convince people. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been out there, but anybody that's ever looked into it, just on the tiny, if they went in with an open mind and did a tiny bit of research, they say, oh wow, this is crazy. That's it's unbelievable. Mostly on the Pizzagate side, and I just hopefully we can get just people will take the initiative and start waking people up. It's getting it's the last day of August, the last weekend of the summer, and on the East Coast, we have maybe September, October, and it starts getting into November, and it starts getting cold out, and people don't want to be on the streets, spreading this message. We're talking about getting to just average people. Not everybody is massive on social media, and a lot of people that are on social media are just sucked up into other things that they don't want to spend their time. So sometimes approaching somebody face to face, confronting them with the information, and getting a little FaceTime with them to be able to speak to them. I don't know if people are doing that in their personal life, if they're going to they go to a party and they say, hey, if it comes up in the topic of conversation, if people do it at work. But for me, it's something that needs to be done to take this to the next level. But at the same time, I don't think any of us ever expected that this stuff would come out and 5 months later, or whatever the time frame be, and it'll be all over. I mean, this is going to be it's going to be a constant battle, and hopefully taking one big name down, whoever that big name would be, to really rattle the cages and prove that this is real. I'm sorry. Excuse me for 1 second. But this is going to go on for like years, decades, whatever it takes. So, but I guess I was just wondering if if other people were feeling frustrated, and if they're feeling good about this, because we're looking at just topics we've done on the show, whether it's USA Gymnastics, the Boy Scouts, Catholic Church, older cases, whatever it is, it's everywhere. And it's like, why are we not, making this a bigger priority? And, we have faith, we have hope with President Trump. I have hope. Obviously if Hillary Clinton were president right now, there would obviously be no hope. And she's starting her book tour. I don't know if anybody saw that. She will be coming to Philadelphia, so if I'm able to score a ticket, I will be doing my best to show up and letting her know how I feel about her. Rich told me my friend, he said he's in for 501c3, and 501c3. It's a big industry, man. I mean, there's numbers it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars of what nonprofits and charities take in. So, to me, like to get a nonprofit started, with real organization and real employees and real management structure and real IT and websites and marketing materials and everything. And, it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult. And it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult, to raise money either. So, hopefully it's something, in the future that, we can get going, whoever wants to do it. But we have to start, coming together and finding out like who wants to make this, I'm in to make it, my life's work. And I don't have a family, so, it's definitely a lot easier for me. And, I know it's not the same for everybody, but, hopefully that'll be, in the near future. But, in the present, it just still comes back to, the spreading awareness. And I've always considered, if I've been anything, I'm just an awareness expert. Aside from, even going out on the street and, whether holding sign or giving out literature or just talking to people, there's a lot of phone calls that can be made. A lot of phone calls that can be made. And for, I don't know if people are doing that, but, who did I call this week? I mean, for example, Monday after the Berkeley Antifa, what do you want to call it, riots, beat downs. I called the Berkeley police. I was asking them questions. How many guys did you have out there, and how many people are on your force? And the woman didn't want to answer any questions. She just wanted to send me over to the public information officer, which she eventually did. But I've called DC police. I've called them about the Compton ping pong shooting. Trying to get Freedom of Information Act requests, and obviously people were trying to get. There was an actual lawyer trying to get a Freedom of Information Act for the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. That gets rejected, and people, and I called the FBI also. I called their Freedom of Information Act department, but nobody picks up the phone. But people can be making phone calls. I mean, if there's anything going on, I mean, just pick up the phone. And if people, if everybody was calling, I mean, with the Imran Awan situation, Debbie Wasserman Schultz's phone her office should be ringing off the hook to the point where they just don't want it, like they realize like, all right, something's going on. But, I don't know if people, I get, once again, it's hard on this type of, in this type of forum where I'm just out here talking. I don't know if people, make those phone calls. If they're not comfortable making phone calls, I don't know, but it's just another opportunity for us, to get, to let them know that, we're out there, because they're happy with us. They're happy with us on Twitter. They're happy on, on Gab or, even on Facebook. Things can be censored and things can be shadow banned and things can be shut down. I believe, I don't know the reason, but, Pizzagate.com, which has been up probably for 8-9 months. It's no longer there. I don't know why it was taken down. I didn't see any information on that. But personally, with everything that's going on, I guess my mind has driven a little bit from Pizzagate and Pedogate, just because if we have to protect. They're trying to impeach the president of the United States, and they're out in the streets marching. It's not something personally that I can ignore. We tried with Seth Rich to get. We thought we'd have a really nice rally for Seth Rich. The work that Matt Couch has done and George Webb has done, and Matt Couch's entire team, America First Media, I believe it's called. It's just an unbelievable amount of information that was never out there, and it's just sitting out there, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and now what? Okay, he finds out. People have. The bar owner has lied. The girlfriend has lied. The family has lied. And who's working on it? And for me, it would be like, man, everybody should be calling, Washington, D.C. 5th District, asking them, hey, can I speak to the detective that's working on the Seth Rich case? Or, you have any leads, anything going on with that? But, nothing. They can just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And it's almost my 1-year anniversary. I think I joined Twitter September 16th of last year, somewhere around there. And it was all because, it was basically all because of Stone Tier. And if people don't remember what Stone Tier was or who Stone Tier was, and that was actually the first sign I ever held when I was going out to rallies before I started doing Hillary for Prison. If people don't know what Stone Tier was, I'll just give a quick recap. Hillary has a server in her, obviously she has a personal server that she's working her emails off of, and obviously somebody needs to, manage that server. And I don't know why, but Hillary's team hired a company called Platte River Networks based out of Colorado to, manage the server. And one of the guys that was working on it, his name was Paul Combetta. Now, we know who Paul Combetta is because Paul Combetta was in front of the House Oversight Committee, Jason Chaffetz, Trey Gowdy, and the rest, and asking him, because he was the guy who apparently acid washed, all the emails. But they had him in front and of the Oversight Committee. He was given immunity by the FBI and still pled the fifth to every question that was asked to him. And, so it was worthless. But we know who Paul Combetta is. And we know that he worked on Hillary's server. Now, back in early September, a a Reddit user who was also on Twitter, and she just left a couple of weeks ago. Her name is GOP analyst. I don't know if her account's still up. She found right after Paul Kibet testified, she went on to Reddit and she found a post, and the post went something to the effect of, I may have an interesting situation, a very in capital letters VIP, someone that everyone would recognize, needs email headers stripped out. So basically, they wanted to replace the sender or the sendee, those headers, and he didn't know how to do it. So he goes, there's this post on Reddit, and it's under the hashtag Stone Tier. Well, somebody sees this post, and this post was made 2 days after Hillary's emails were subpoenaed for the Benghazi hearing. So this is actually, the post was actually in 2014, and it was found in 2016. So they saw the hashtag Stone Tier. They did their, the internet people, the researchers went to work, and they traced Stone Tier back to Paul Kibet. He used it all over the internet. That was his little name, and it was some type of gaming name. And they knew that Stone Tier was Paul Kibet. So why is Paul Kibet, one of Hillary's server guys, on Reddit 2 days after her emails are being subpoenaed for Benghazi, asking how to strip out email headers? And I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is it. They got it. And I mean, I was going around for days, screaming at the top of my lungs. Anybody would listen. She's nailed. We got her. I can't wait till this breaks. People are not going to believe it. I thought I had inside information. Nobody knew about it. I mean, I was one of the first, and I was over a friend of mine's house, and I was trying to tell her about it, and she was like, she didn't care, and she was like, why don't you, basically, she said, why don't you find some people that care? And I literally just went right to my computer and signed up for Twitter, and that's the reason why I even got on Twitter in the first place. But it was because of Stone Tier. But the fact that never really got into the public sphere. I think CNN did mention it, and it's hinted around a couple times. But the fact that they could cover that up, they know who this guy is, and it's a very suspicious Reddit post, and the connection was already made, and they can just whitewash that. So if they can do it to that, some crazy story about, Hillary Clinton and Laura Silsby and, child trafficking in Haiti, it's out there, but, we have to think on a macro level. There's 320 million people, maybe more now, 320 million people in the United States. If 1 million people know something, well, that's in a room of 32 people, that's one. Like it's nothing for 1 million people to know something. It's nothing for 2 million people to know something. I mean, if 1 million people know, that's one. You're in a room of 320. If 10 million people know, 10 million people, you're still, which seems like an astronomical, or 10 million people believe it. You're still in a room, one person for every 32. 20 people, 20 million people, one out of 16. So it's not until you start getting into we got to get 10 million, 15, 30 million people have to be aware of this. Now it's 1 out of 10. All right. Now maybe you got a chance to take on, in a room, you can take on 10 people. But if it's 1 million people that are shouting about pedogate, you want to try and shout down 320 people when you go out? It's too difficult. So we have to do a better job of spreading the awareness and getting this out there. Well, obviously we don't have the regular media, and they can conjure up stories that, obviously, right now, weather is, a massive problem. And then the situation in Houston, which, I believe it's going to get much, much worse. I mean, right now, people are very, very happy to be alive, and obviously, and they're still in shock. But, as the days and weeks go on and there's no homes to go to, and the insurance and it's going to get, it would take a toll on anybody, and it's going to start taking a toll on people, and all the happy stories that are coming out of Houston and all the great work. I mean, it's been, it's been beautiful to watch, but, come the middle of September, 2 months out and people still don't have homes to go to, that'll be a different situation. So kind of lost my train of thought there, but, sticking, I'll just keep coming back to, I guess I was saying about, how we do not have, the media, and the media is never going to pick up these stories. I mean, if you do searches for, and I do them often, child sex abuse, child rape, child pornography. And if you just, I'll still Google it. I hate Google, but I'll still Google them, and just go on the news feed and see how many stories, come out. But they don't, Huffington Post does some. I think the New York Post does a pretty good job with them. But, there's not that, they're all individual stories and not tying in. Like nobody's doing that expose, like, wow, we got a real problem in this country, like throwing that big number out there, like, like the one I, mentioned in Texas, that there's, right now, I believe it's right now that there's 70, University of Texas says there's 79,000, child trafficking victims currently in the state of Texas. Now if that number was plastered all over, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, whatever, people might be like, whoa, right now there's 80,000. I mean, can't we do something about this? Where, and how they even arrived at that number, I have no idea. I think it would be, very difficult. But if that's, if that's their estimate, it could be higher. Once again, that's just trafficking, trafficking victims. That's not sexual abuse victims. As I was looking for stuff on Texas, there was a story of a 18-year-old babysitter that was sexually abusing an 18-year-old female, sexually abusing a 4-year-old male that she was watching, forcing him or not coercing him to do sex acts. They didn't obviously get into it. I don't even know what the hell. I mean, fucking 4-year-old. But there's 18-year-old babysitter, and a 4-year-old boy. Like what is going on? And then when people could sort of just, instead of just saying like, or trace, what is up with this woman? I want to know what's up with this 18-year-old. I want to find out, I want to know more about her. But they never do a follow-up story. They never do an interview. It's like, what is going through the mind of an 18-year-old? I'll call her a girl because I'm 48. So an 18-year-old girl that she goes to babysit and she's molesting a 4-year-old boy. I have no friggin' idea. And that's what I'm going to talk about. The guy who invented Minecraft, last week, we never really got to it. I guess his Twitter handle is Notch. He tweets out that Pizzagate is real. And this guy's got 3.9 million viewers. Followers. And that was like the first. That's the biggest person. That's by far and I was starting to think like, I don't think anybody with 100,000 ever tweeted out that Pizzagate is real. I'm not even sure anybody with 50,000. They say, obviously Alex Jones was the, creator of the conspiracy, blah blah blah, which obviously is a joke. But when a guy like Notch, but where are all the academics? Where are the people that study this stuff? Where are the top law enforcement that handle this? Like why aren't they out there saying, wait a second, these people talking about this stuff? No, they're not crazy. Like there are pedophile rings, but they won't do it. The academics that study this stuff and write books and write papers and all this shit, they're no support from there, and not a lot of survivors coming forward, and we have the handful that we do have, but it's not enough. It's not enough, and the more that especially with the state of the country and obviously everything Trump dominates the news cycle. Like we can't we're trying to fight that slide the the pedogate stuff in there, and it's we can't let it get pushed to the back burner. And it's hard sometimes. You obviously have to talk about other things, but I guess hopefully we can maybe come together and just make a bigger push and get it back on the map, like maybe it was back in maybe the biggest thing that ever happened was when Ben Swan went on television and did his 5-minute piece, and it had got us a lot of momentum, and we need some of that momentum. We could use somebody in the media that's going to do that. So but a guy, my hat's off to a guy, the creator of Minecraft, for him to, do that. And I mean, that's massive exposure, and it's massive exposure to, a whole new audience. I was hoping, with Chester, Bennington, with his death, his suicide, murder, whatever it is. But there's a really good recent example, like, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a month, man, it was all Chester Bennington, John Podesta's son, and everything. And it's out there. And the stuff it's out there. And then what? Just goes away. Because we can't do anything with the information. We can, it's right there. And then it's like presented to somebody. It's like, hey, can somebody look into this? I can't go investigate John Podesta. I can't get in a circle. I can't interrogate him. I can't ask him questions. We can get all this circumstantial evidence. I mean, I can't even tell him, somebody could, somebody could look into him, but nobody's doing it. And, it's, when this information gets out there and then, it just, everybody thought they cracked the case, Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington and the pedo rings, and I forget who was going to release that big everyone's releasing big information. And so it's always da-da-da. And it all just, I mean, shit, man, I've been it's 9 months now. I mean, I've forgotten about so much information. I've forgotten so much that would be incredibly relevant that, I mean, somebody's, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, that, I remember that. I remember this. I remember that. But, I mean, I don't, until we have, we need to be the ones in the streets. We need to be the ones making the noise. And if we're not going to do that, then I'm worried. My concern is that it will just be a constant you know, we'll have all, you know, it'll just be this information that's just out there, and everybody will be like, oh, you know, and it's not like, you know, that I don't think that's ever been anyone's goal. I mean, we want to see arrests. We want to see people go down. We want to get to the bottom of this and start chipping away and take it up as high it goes. And, you know, if it's really bad, like I 100% believe it is, then let's, you know, I mean, you know, we'll have to live with it. I mean, I've already, you know, John says in the opening, you know, everything I've learned, like, you know, life is a lie. You know, it's like, let's just get it out there already. But it's not just going to happen. You know, it's not like, you know, CNN's going to wake up tomorrow and, you know, start announcing this stuff. God, I've just been watching a lot of CNN, just, you know, for the hurricane stuff. And I was trying to get for information, and they're just putting out all these like happy feel good stories, and, you know, save this one person, save that person. I mean, which is fine, but I don't think it's painting the entire picture. And he had I don't know her name. She had the woman that sings "I Will Survive," Gloria. I want to say Gloria Gaynor. Like, I could be right, I could be wrong. And I don't know. She changed the words to "I Will Survive," and like "Texas will survive," and she was like singing it, and he was sitting there. It's like, oh, that's amazing. And it was just, he's just such a phony piece of shit. I mean, these people are just actors. These people we call them news. I mean, they're just frigging actors. They're just disgusting to watch. I mean, the fact that we even call this stuff news anymore is a joke. I mean, it's opinion, it's propaganda. It's anything but news. And, you know, from being on Twitter for a year and seeing what people like really research and what really is news, and seeing like, wow, you know, and then comparing. So, you know, don't believe what you see on social media. You know, you can't believe what you read on the internet. You know, but when you compare that to what the nonsense that's being put out of that idiot box, it's just, you know, it's just so obvious. And unless people can shut off those TVs, but, you know, we're never going to see the words Pizzagate, you know, across the screen or Pedogate across the screen of CNN or MSNBC or even Fox, for that matter. Probably, you know, for the most part. And God, Fox was the one, you know, does an interview with James, you know, Megyn Kelly. They bring James Alefantis on to, you know, do a total hit piece. So no, I don't know. I know I'm rambling a little bit here. It's a little bit difficult, and nobody sent me any tweets to ask me any questions or give too many opinions. But I would hope that people, aside from, you know, just digging up more information and tweeting things out, just start thinking about what we all can do as individuals to help spread awareness of the problem. You know, awareness, you know, I've always felt that awareness is key. And, you know, in Twitter, you know, we try and stay on Twitter to spread awareness to other hashtags, to use the other hashtags effectively, not just to tweet to people that will agree with us. And obviously, you know, trolls come along. But, you know, if we go on Gab, there's a lot of like-minded people. If you go into a Facebook group, it's like-minded people. Getting the word out to other people. And unfortunately, you know, the way social media is, you know, a lot of it's going to have to be done face-to-face. But if you think about it, if everybody, you know, if there's thousands or tens of thousands of people out there, and everybody wakes up one person a week, or one person a day, and, you know, and it's like the old, I don't know if anybody's old enough, the old Fabergé commercial, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and, you know, that's the way the thing grows. But, you know, at some point we're gonna have to start doing this, and, you know, there's kids counting on us, and I don't know, I feel like our whole way of life is, dependent upon it, because we just keep going down this road and they keep doing this to children, and just, there so many of them just turn out so badly because of it. And I'm not faulting that. And then throwing them into society without the appropriate help, and putting them on antidepressants or whatever, and that's their whole life. And soon we're just going to have tens of millions of just sexual abuse survivors out there, and it's just not. Like I said, I'm 48. I'll be getting off this. I look at it this way: I'll be getting off this planet, like 25 years ish. 25, maybe 30, maybe before that. Who knows? But it's not the type of planet I want. It's not something that it's not something I'm proud of. If I was born in 1969 and I've watched the evolution of the of at least my little corner of the world, it's gone downhill, and it's gone downhill pretty steadily, mostly in the last, I'll say, 30 years, 25, 30, but it's getting it's picking up speed, and I just, in another 25, another 50, another 100, if we don't put an end to this, or at least we're obviously, I don't think we'll ever we're not going to be able to put an end to it, but start putting major dents into it. It's scary for the future, and it's not fair. It's not fair to future generations to have them, to be involved in it. That's the way I look at it. So I guess we're coming up on time here. We've got another couple minutes. So, I'm not, people know I'm not particularly religious, but, I will say a prayer for all the people in Texas and potentially Louisiana. And now there's another hurricane that may be hitting, Florida, which, the amount of resources, oh man, it's a very, very difficult situation. And, it's not, I think anybody that's not involved in that right now, no matter what's going on in their own personal life, should be very thankful that they have a roof over their head, and, food in their stomach, and they're not, things may not be perfect, but they're not as bad as they are for some people. And then that goes on, that's around the world. So, sometimes it's unfortunate it takes an incident like that to make us realize how fortunate we are. So, okay. And I still came up a minute short, so I miss you, John. John, if you're out. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and John and I will be back on